Fools multiply when wise men are silent. Evil men succeed when righteous men do nothing. Not all change is improvement. Not all change is advancement. Not all change is progress. Not all change is development. Darkness rules when light is absent. Problems reign when solutions are ignored. If you take a plant, a beautiful plant, and put it in a box and seal it, and you come back in 2 weeks, the plant is completely dead. Why? You took away one of the laws. You touched the principle. You can pray for that plant. You can speak in tongues over the plant. You can quote scripture over the plant, and the plant will still die. Now, I want to warn us today that change has always been a part of the planet. And here are some terms I mentioned earlier, and I want to quickly remind you of them. Every civilization that we went through, we gave it an identification. Let me give you the first one. They call it the Renaissance change. Then there was a change they called the Age of Reason. That's when the Greek civilization took over the world. Then we went through the modern age and the postmodern age, and then the age of secularization. We went through the age of science. We passed that one now. Then we came to the age of enlightenment, and then the age of humanism. And now we're in an age that they're calling the new normal. I don't know what they mean. But I am defining this particular age as the age of experimentation. We don't know what we're doing. We're experimenting with two men being married and have no idea about the consequences. That's an experiment. We're experimenting with two women being married and calling it a marriage. And we have no idea, no test, no figures of what might happen, no scientific or psychological impact on a child being with two men for 25 years. We are experimenting. How can a government sit and make a decision without any data? We cannot just follow emotions and what we call rights. What are we doing? We are experimenting. Let me tell you some of experimentation. The age of experimentation will always lead to guessing. Did you imagine? We are paying people to guess our future. Let me say a little warning. Without change, there can be no improvement. We agree on that. But not all change is improvement. We know that. We shouldn't change just because we think it's time to change. There are some things we shouldn't change. And we got to tell a difference between what is permanent and what is flexible. I put it to you that we must choose the change we desire. Now, I want to just warn us also as society and in your country that fools multiply when wise men are silent. Evil men succeed when righteous men do nothing. Darkness rules when light is absent. Hiding in your church buildings will destroy your country. Staying in your prayer meetings will corrupt your nation. You cannot expect change in your nation if you stay away from the nation. Impossible. Problems reign when solutions are ignored. Can I put it this way? And this is important. You cannot stop or avoid change, and you have two options in change. Either you become a victim of it or an agent of it. And we have to now decide which one we're going to be. Being a victim of change means you let other people decide for you. Being an agent of change means you involve yourself in the process to make sure that the change is what you desire. If you don't be proactive, you're going to be reactive. We ain't supposed to react to life as kingdom citizens. We're supposed to decide life. We're supposed to be proactive. That's why Christ says, go into all the world and disciple the nations. Don't wait for them to disciple you. We're supposed to initiate the change, and therefore we will either be agents or victims. And that is why change is something we must get involved with. To advance and progress and develop, change is necessary. We agree? Yes. Right now, for example, there's a lot of inequality between male and females in our society. Because we came out of a patriarchal culture where the man was the dominant figure in our culture. So women were treated as second-class citizens. We have to change that. So there are a lot of changes that need to take place. But we got to be careful that even though we need to change, there are some things we shouldn't change. I call it the danger of change. Here's the danger. All true change must occur within boundaries. And those boundaries I call natural and spiritual principles or laws. Please write this down, please. This is very important. Teach this to your entire staff. Change is necessary, but all change must be regulated by certain boundaries. And those boundaries are what I call natural and spiritual laws. They're principles that were created in creation by God. For example, God created trees with roots to grow in the soil. That is a principle. God created the trees to absorb sunlight, which is the rays from the sun, the ultraviolet rays. And that ray actually interacts with chemicals in the leaf of the tree that creates what they call chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is plant food. So the plant needs sun. That's a law. For it to create chlorophyll. That's the food for the plant to live. That's life. If you take a plant, a beautiful plant, and put it in a box and seal it, and you come back in 2 weeks, the plant is completely dead. Why? You took away one of the laws. You touched the principle. You can pray for that plant. You can speak in tongues over the plant. You can quote scripture over the plant, and the plant will still die. You could pass a law that all plants will no longer receive light. And the plants will ignore your law. Because no man-made law can cancel natural law. Write that down, please. No man-made law can cancel spiritual law. No man-made law can cancel an eternal principle. So don't live your life on man's laws first. You must first discover what are the natural laws created by the Creator and what are the spiritual laws that He placed in creation. This is why God laughs at man. Because He knows that there's a limitation to your intelligence. All of your PhDs are subject to nature. Never be impressed by a scientist. Never. I went to university. I got 5 degrees. I'm not a dumb man. And I'm never impressed with a scientist. A scientist is a copycat. He studies what's already there, gives it his name, but he can't claim creation of it. All a scientist does is discover. They don't create, they discover things. You can't discover what was never created. our learning is a victim of natural law. And this is why we must know when our boundaries have been met. Write this down, please. Not all change is improvement. Not all change is advancement. Not all change is progress. Not all change is development. How many times have you heard where a country passed a law to create certain economic development in certain areas, and in 6 years they destroyed a certain species? Why? Because they tried to violate natural law with a progressive decision. There's a beach here in the Bahamas, not too far from here. It's called Sanders Beach. Yes, I'm going to talk about it. My wife and I passed there yesterday again. Our government made a decision, the former government, to create a beach. God didn't create this beach. To create a beach, and they did some stuff. They put some rocks there, and you know, the first couple of months, it looked good. Then nature visited us. Nature's name was Sandy. And Sandy said, let me see how well you've built what God didn't build. And in a matter of 25 minutes, the beach was removed. Millions of dollars was wasted. And today, they are still nervous for the next hurricane. Why? Because you have to be careful when you start shifting things that God didn't create. Natural law can never be canceled by human law. Therefore, any law that a government makes must first line up with two laws. One, natural law. Two, spiritual law. Anytime a government thinks it is smarter than natural law or spiritual law, that government will completely be a failure. Guaranteed. And they will destroy a generation.